Dear, oh dear, oh dear. What's happening, boxing fans? Box Mad here. So, in my last video, I specifically remember saying that I wasn't going to do a video on the mega fight until there was a press conference or something a lot more concrete. And the news that's just happened overnight has almost sort of vindicated that to me, in the sense of I'm just glad that I've not wasted the last 2 to 3 months of my time doing videos on this fight, now knowing what we know. And if there's any people watching this who don't know and who have been living under a rock overnight, essentially a judge out in the States called Daniel Weinstein has ordered that Tyson Fury fights Deontay Wilder for a third time. That's official. And it must be done by September 15th. And if you put 2 and 2 together, then you've worked out that obviously that completely derails the Anthony Joshua Tyson Fury fight that was scheduled for August 14th. Now, I've obviously seen a lot of comments online today that a lot of fans are obviously saying that Deontay Wilder is going to be the most hated man in boxing. Maybe, to a degree. And I've seen a lot of comments saying that this is, Deontay Wilder's just doing this, he's just jealous, he's just out of revenge. Well, there's always going to be an element to that. But I think the main reason is, like anything in life, it's money. Wilder's coming up to 36 now. Who else other than, say, an Anthony Joshua is he going to fight where he is going to score a mega payday? Outside of Fury fighting for the world title, I can't think of anyone. It's always going to be between Joshua and Fury that Wilder's got any sort of chance of earning life-changing money. Don't get me wrong, there is an element to revenge on this, but it's mainly money. Ever since when Team Wilder said that they wanted the rematch and ignited that rematch clause a couple months after the initial defeat last February, I think a lot of people could just sense that there was a lot of legal issues going on. And that was almost sort of cemented to me when Warren had to pull the Tyson Fury and Caballero fight on BT in December. And the news that's happened overnight has pretty much confirmed what we pretty much already knew. Now, I'm looking at this in both ways. And it's probably going to be the title to this video. Do we see Wilder as the party pooper, or do we see him as the saviour of the heavyweight division? Now, let's start obviously with the former first of all. Party pooper in the sense of obviously he's just completely taken a wrecking ball through this mega fight that was due to take place in August. And I was very much looking forward to finally getting an undisputed champion in the heavyweight division, but at the same time, and I think I may be speaking for other people here as well, I think a lot of people were just getting tired of this fight and it was starting to become draining. And I even said in my last video that if it doesn't happen in August, then we have to move on. The boxing world has to move on because there are things that are starting to sort of get held up now. People are backing up now. Mandatories are just backing up. The rankings are becoming a mess. And look, I don't want the belts to become fragmented. I really don't. I don't want the heavyweight division to have one champion per governing body. But the reality we now have is that I don't believe this fight happens. I was never confident that it was going to happen. And I think from a Eddie Hearn point of view here, to them, or at least from Hearn's point of view, he'll just turn around and say, well, look, we done everything we could. It's a Fury issue. It's a Wilder issue. And that I can accept. But I think secretly, deep down, Hearn isn't going to be too concerned about this, provided that Joshua keeps hold of those belts. Because in an ideal situation, I think Hearn would have wanted this to have been at Wembley, 90,000. If he drags this fight into 2022 and beyond, he's only going to secure more money on the gate in the likelihood and the probability that we get more fans back, which I believe we will next year. In some parts of the world, we're obviously seeing a lot of people in stadiums. Here in the UK, they're still kind of doing test events. We've had people back at the football. We've had people back at the snooker for months now. but we've not had anyone back at boxing yet. So I think they'll just drag this fight out at least into next year. And I think a lot of people always thought deep down this was going to happen next year, this fight. But as far as him being the saviour, going back to my original point, now look, if the Joshua and Fury fight is off, and I'm going to put my cards on the table now and say that it is, at least as far as the August date that they've proposed. So we say that Wilder and Fury fight. Now Joshua's got to take care of business, people. And when I say business, I'm in the WBO. Now I know I've gone on about this a little bit in other videos, so forgive me if I'm going over old ground here. But we know that Alexander Usyk, and I had a discussion with someone on a previous video about this, we know that Usyk has taken step-aside money. Now that step-aside money was obviously on the agreement that Joshua and Fury would be fighting. So that's now off the cards. So Joshua's got to take care of business with the WBO first of all. Now he either keeps that belt and defends against Usyk, or he vacates and Usyk and the Juggernaut, they fight for the vacant title. None of this interim nonsense. I never wanted the interim title to begin with, people. I don't like interim belts. I'm sorry. I don't want to start losing too much shit over this, but I don't want any more trinket belts. We've got enough of them as it is. Not mentioning any names. Anyway, so the way I look at it is, Joshua and Usyk, you can fight each other. If Usyk wins, okay, we've got a new heavyweight champion. If Joshua wins, then Joe Joyce will go up in the ranking. He'll become mandatory. He won't get his shot for a while, but at least Joshua's taking care of business. Now, let's now look at the other side of the heavyweight division and say that Tyson Fury fights Deontay Wilder. Let's just say Fury defends his belt, which is not done yet. He's never defended a world title. Let's say he finally defends his world title. Then you've got to now say that Dillian Whyte is going to be knocking on that door a lot louder. I mean, realistically, whoever wins that fight, whether it be Wilder or Fury, they should be having to defend that belt ASAP. Really. So this is going to be very, very interesting, guys. I think actually in a weird sort of way, this Deontay Wilder news, look, like I said, I wanted the undisputed fight, but in a way, this may have sort of cleaned house a bit in the sense of that now these champions, who in my opinion have been keeping some of these belts hostage, Tyson Fury has for the last 15 months, they're going to start having to defend these mandatories, which they should be doing anyway. You don't see this, guys. By the way, guys, you don't see this in any other division. You don't see WBC champions being inactive 15 months and presidents not enforcing their own rules by making these champions fight their mandatories. They've been lenient because they all want a slice of the pie. Well, guess what? That pie, that's gone. So I'm looking at you, WBO and WBC. Sort this shit out now. Sort your shit out, because this is getting horrific. You know, we want to see all of our guys in these so-called rankings get their shot. So I want to see Alexander Usyk get a shot at the WBO. Okay, I want to see whether it be Dillian Whyte or another contender get a shot at the WBC. Whoever wins against Wilder and Fury, they need to sort their mandatory out ASAP. Not another year, not another 18 months. Now, but I want to hear from you, most importantly, guys. What do you think? First of all, does the Joshua Fury fight on August 14th still happen? If it doesn't happen and Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder fight, what happens as far as the WBO? Does Joshua then vacate, or does he fight Alexander Usyk? Let me know, please, in the comments. I really, really want to hear from all of you guys. Really appreciate people that have been watching and comment on the videos. I love talking to you guys. So just hit the thumbs up, comment as I said, and if you're feeling really generous, hit subscribe. Cheers, guys.